I watched with my own eyes as my husband, who's severely allergic to seafood, peeled a shrimp by hand and fed it to another woman. I raised my phone and recorded the whole scene, his affair, giving her a diamond ring, feeding her shrimp. That night, while he held his mistress in a hotel room planning to leave me with nothing, he texted me, "Working late. Love you." The next day, I walked into a law firm with the evidence, froze all his assets, took control of his company, and traced the transfer of his property. The company team dinner was at a ridiculously expensive seafood restaurant in the city. My coworker Mia picked up a giant shrimp and tapped my shoulder with a smile. "Vivian, your husband must peel the shrimp for you, right?" I instinctively wanted to say, "Evan is allergic to seafood," but the words never came out. I turned my head. Across 3 tables, I saw him, my husband, Evan Brooks. He was sitting in the window booth, a young woman across from him. She had long chestnut hair and a sweet smile. I remembered her, last month at the company anniversary. She was an intern sent by the PR firm. Her name was Lily. Evan picked up a shrimp. With long, skilled fingers, he peeled the shell. My brain went numb. My heart stopped for a moment, then started racing uncontrollably. My ears rang like a TV lost its signal. He's allergic to seafood. For 3 years of marriage, he always avoided seafood shops. On our first date, I ordered lobster pasta. He didn't even touch it and ended up in the ER all night within 4. The doctor warned sternly, severe allergy, life-threatening. And now, he put the peeled shrimp into his mouth, chewing, swallowing, expressionless. Then he peeled another one and gently offered it to Lily with a fork. Lily shyly recoiled, eyes curving like crescent moons. "Stop it. So many people are watching." Evan chuckled, his familiar deep, gentle voice now sounding unbearably grating. In English, soft but clear, "I'm kissing my girlfriend. What's the problem?" I gripped my chopsticks, knuckles white, but I didn't move. I didn't cry, didn't charge over. I picked up my phone, unlocked it, switched to camera, set it to record. My hand was steady, so steady I surprised even myself. I zoomed in on them, Evan feeding Lily the shrimp. The small mole at the back of his neck when he looked down. The glaring diamond ring on Lily's ring finger wasn't the one I picked, but I recognized the brand. A classic Cartier. "Last month," Evan said, "project bonus came through. A surprise for you," and gave me only a $150 scarf. 30 seconds of footage. Enough. At the top of the screen, a text notification popped up. From Evan. "Working late tonight. Don't wait up for dinner. Love you." I looked down at the words, then glanced up. Not far from me, he was dabbing Lily's mouth with a napkin. Eyes sticky sweet. Mia was gossiping beside me. "Hey, Vivian, did your husband get another promotion? You don't look too happy, too busy to spend time with you?" I put down my phone, took a long sip of ice water, and then I smiled, sat still, kept eating my salad, but my ears had a mind of their own, clinging to every sound from that table. Lily's voice floated over, complaining, "How long do we have to sneak around? I already told my mom, we're going home for dinner next week." Evan's voice dropped, but still clear, "Give me a little more time. She isn't easy to deal with." "It's her again," Lily scoffed. "An old woman. Won't get out of the way." "Evan, you said you'd get divorced." "I will," Evan said quickly, soothingly. "Just need to handle the assets. Don't worry. I'll make it up to you. You'll be proud of me." "Make it up to you. Handle the assets." I chewed my lettuce, crisp and loud, like breaking something else. Mia and the others chattered happily, oblivious to my silence. I set down my fork, grabbed my glass of orange juice, the cold glass sweating in my hands. I gripped it tightly. I stood up. "Vivian, where are you going?" Mia asked. I didn't answer. Walked straight to their booth, high heels clicking on marble, tap, 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 each step on my own heartbeat. Evan had his back to me, still cutting Lily's steak. Lily saw me first. Her smile froze. Panic flickered in her eyes. Then she straightened, postured defensive, slightly provocative. Evan followed her gaze. When he saw me, the knife and fork clattered to the plate. His face drained, paler than the tablecloth. "Vi. Vivian, what are you doing here?" He jumped up, The chair scraped loudly against the floor. I didn't look at him. Eyes on Lily's face. Then back to him. Then I lifted my hand. A full glass of orange juice, bright and vivid, splashed across his handsome, now terrified face. Splash, the juice ran down his high nose and shocked eyes, dripping onto his expensive shirt, spreading a huge stain. The whole restaurant went silent, every gaze fixed on us. Mia and the coworkers froze. Lily covered her mouth, eyes wide. Evan stood frozen, letting the juice drip from his chin, probably never so humiliated in his life. I spoke, calm to a frightening degree, each word like an ice pellet. Evan Brooks, you're allergic to seafood, right? He opened his mouth, Adam's apple rolling, but no sound came out. Severe allergy, can go into shock, can die. I continued, like stating facts about someone else. On our anniversary, I wanted seafood. You said the smell might trigger your allergy, refused to even enter the restaurant. Now, I pointed at the remaining shrimp on the plate. You're eating it like it's nothing. Lily finally reacted, springing to her feet, voice shrill, what are you doing? Are you crazy? She tried to shield Evan, in a protective stance. Evan came back to his senses, grabbing my wrist with force, making me wince. He lowered his voice, urgent and angry, Vivian, let me explain. It's not what you think. We can talk at home. Explain? Talk at home? I looked at his juice-soaked, embarrassed, desperate face, his other hand still gripping Lily's chair back. 3 months ago, I worked late, running a fever. Called him, he said, stuck at a client dinner. I went to the hospital alone for 4. Now I remember. His tie had a little lipstick mark. I lifted my other free hand. With all my strength, I slapped him across the face. Smack! The sharp slap echoed through the silent restaurant. He turned his head from the impact, a bright red handprint appearing on his cheek. Time seemed to freeze for a few seconds. Then Lily screamed, you hit him. You crazy woman. Call the cops. Call the cops now. She lunged to push me, but Evan blocked her, holding his face. His eyes locked on me, a mix of shock, embarrassment, and a hint of furious shame. Enough, he growled, not sure if he was speaking to Lily or me. People around had already started raising their phones to record. Evan took a deep breath, trying to put on that familiar mask of calm reason I knew so well. He wiped the juice off his face, voice lowered, exuding a nauseatingly reasonable tone. Vivian, do we really have to do this? Couldn't this have been handled privately? Does it have to be so messy? Messy? I laughed. When you were feeding her shrimp right here, whispering sweet nothings, did that not seem messy to you? That was, he faltered, then shifted tactics. Vivian, marriage is a partnership. Have you ever wondered why I ended up like this? Here it comes. I stared at him coldly, waiting for the next line. You're always so busy, so controlling, demanding perfection, expecting everything to go according to your plan. He spoke smoothly, like he'd rehearsed this 100 times. You never understand the pressure I'm under. Being with you, I can't breathe. Yes, the business got started with your family's seed money, your dad's connections. But that doesn't mean I should forever live in your shadow. His tone earnest, even tinged with a little pain. Vivian, I'm a man too. I need to be needed, to be admired. Lily, she just makes me feel alive, attractive. Lily, conveniently, teared up, leaning into his chest, quietly sobbing. Classic scumbag logic. Cheating because the wife is too strong? Because of stress? Because he craves admiration? Everything becomes my fault. Mia and a few colleagues had already surrounded us. Mia, red with anger, pointed at Evan. Evan, are you even human? Vivian quit her own job to help you start your company, running errands, attending client dinners, drinking with you, when the company was just starting. She begged her dad for help all the time. And now, when the company's doing a little better, you complain about pressure? About shadows? Another colleague noticed Lily's jewelry. Eyes sharp. Whoa, that bracelet is a new Tiffany, right? Necklace is Van Cleef Arpels? Evan, didn't you say cash flow was tight? You made Vivian wait to get a new car. So all this money went here. Lily instinctively covered her necklace, eyes darting. Evan's composure faltered. especially being called out by former subordinates and current business partners. He glared at Mia. This is between me and my wife. None of you have a say. He stepped forward, trying to pull me away. Hands rough. Come on. Let's go home. I shrugged off his hand. He probably didn't expect such force. Stumbled slightly, instinctively shoved my shoulder. I lost balance, falling backward. Luckily, Mia caught me. Evan, you just pushed her? Mia screamed. Chaos erupted. The restaurant manager rushed over, amid the confusion and countless recording phones. I looked at Evan's face, twisted with anger and shame, and said clearly, no need for private resolution. Lawyers, court, asset documentation. I spoke deliberately, word by word. We'll settle everything, publicly. That night, Evan didn't come home. Expected. I sat alone in the living room, lamp casting a dim yellow glow. The phone screen lit up in the dark. Friend request. Profile picture, a delicate side profile. Name, Lily. I accepted. Almost immediately, a message popped up. No words. Just a video. I clicked. The angle was covert. By a hotel window. The city lights sparkling. Evan. In a robe. Holding Lily from behind. Looking out. His voice. Lazy and indulgent. Never meant for me. Once I take care of the other side. This apartment will be under your name. Like it? Lily turned, giggling, and kissed him. What about your wife? Will she just let it go? Evan sneered. Tone contemptuous. Doesn't matter what she thinks. If necessary, I'll leave her with nothing. I've been planning this for years. The video ended. Then came a series of texts. Lily, enjoy the show? Your husband in my bed isn't this cold with me. Lily, he's had enough of you. Old. Boring. All pressure. Lily, guess why I went public today? He promised me next week he'd confess everything. Didn't expect you to find out first. Fine, saves him the hesitation. Lily, thanks. By the way, for being the stepping stone. Without your family's money and connections, Evan wouldn't be here. But now, his money, his contacts, all mine. Lily, oh, guess what he bought me? That big downtown loft you ogled but never got. You might get a tiny share from the divorce? Evan says he has ways to make sure it's barely anything. Be smart, leave. Every word poisonous. Triumphant. I gripped my phone. Fingers cold. But my heart, after racing violently, strangely calmed. Extreme anger. It turns out. Feels like this icy clarity. I screenshot. Saved the video. Bundled all evidence. Uploaded to the cloud. And sent it to my lawyer friend Sophie. After all that, I looked at another mocking emoji from Lily. I tugged the corner of my mouth. Not laughing at her stupidity. Not at my own misery. Laughing at Evan. He thought he controlled everything, transferred assets, found a true love, leaving me with nothing. He thought I was still that naive girl from 3 years ago, willing to give everything for him. He didn't know. I wasn't that girl anymore. The first time he used working late as an excuse to disappear overnight. The first time he deliberately avoided me touching his phone. The first time he spoke vaguely about company shares or property. The string called trust in my heart had already been stretched to its limit. I was just waiting. Waiting for indisputable evidence. Waiting for the moment I could let go completely. Today, the moment he fed her the shrimp, that moment arrived. Lily's provocation? Just handed me the knife myself. I exhaled. Early the next morning, I went to Sophie's law office. Sophie had been my college best friend and was now a renowned divorce attorney, specializing in complex asset division cases. Her office was spacious and bright, with a view over half the city. I laid out last night's video, screenshots, and Lily's provocative messages in front of her. Sophie skimmed through them quickly. Her expression shifted from serious to icy cold. Then she slammed her tablet shut. Scumbag, she muttered. Can we make him leave with nothing? I asked bluntly. Sophie looked at me sharply. Vivian, be honest. When you registered the company and signed contracts for the house, did you follow my advice? I nodded, pulling a thick folder from my bag and pushing it toward her. Sophie opened it, pulling out the documents inside. Shareholding structures, company bylaws, property deeds, purchase contracts, bank statements, and a few signed IOUs, plus a storage card containing a video. Sophie's eyes lit up. You are the legal owner of the company, the controlling shareholder. Even though Evan is CEO, major decisions and share transfers require your signature. She rattled off rapidly. These 3 main properties, all in your name. Payment records show most came from your personal account and premarital assets. She picked up the IOUs. The loans he took from his parents for company expansion were actually drawn from joint marital funds? Any proof? I pulled up a video on my phone. It was from 2 years ago. One night in our home office, Evan sat across from me, visibly irritated. My voice said, "Evan, your parents want to lend $2 million to the company. That's not a small amount. Even if it's family, it's better to make an IOU. Go through proper accounts, so nothing is disputed later and your parents feel assured." Evan hesitated. "Vivian, is that necessary? My parents' money isn't ours." I persisted. "Family business should be transparent. It's good for the company. Just a formality. For my peace of mind. Okay?" In the video, Evan eventually relented, signing the IOU and stamping it with his fingerprint, saying, "Fine, fine, we'll do it. Vivian, I know you're doing this for our family. For me. Once the company goes public, I'll give you the best life. You'll see, your husband doesn't need you to make a good life for you. All to prove he didn't need me." So ironic. Sophie finished reviewing, exhaled slowly, a confident smile spreading across her face. "With these, his asset transfers during the marriage can be more easily challenged. Add proof of the affair, and the evidence of marital breakdown is solid." Her gaze sharpened. "Vivian, this isn't just about making him leave with nothing. We can make him utterly ruined." I met her eyes. "That's exactly what I want," I said. "I want him utterly ruined." Evan came back on the 3rd night. He'd changed into clean clothes, shaved neatly, even brought a box of pastries from one of my favorite traditional bakeries. His face showed fatigue, and just the right mix of apology and affection. Excellent acting. No wonder he charmed investors into backing him. "Vivian." He set down the pastries and reached for my hand. "Can we talk?" I dodged his hand. Sitting across from him on the sofa, I pointed to the single chair. "Sit." His face stiffened, but he sat, rubbing his forehead, playing the part of the troubled, tired husband. "That day, it was my fault. I was impulsive, said a lot of nonsense, but I never meant to hurt you. Lily, it was just a moment of weakness. She's young, forward, and I was under too much pressure. I lost control." He looked up at me, feigning pain. "Vivian, you know you're the one I love most. All these years. This home, you can't just sentence me to death. Give me a chance. I'll cut things off with her immediately. I promise it won't happen again. Let's live our life together, okay?" I listened quietly, utterly unmoved, even tempted to smile. This spiel was as smooth as the sweet words he used when courting me. "Finished?" I asked. He paused, probably not expecting that reaction. I reached into my briefcase, pulled out a document, and placed it on the coffee table in front of him. "Divorce agreement," I said. "Review it. If there's no problem, sign it." Evan's expression changed instantly. All the fake affection and regret washed away like a tide, leaving only shock and rising anger. He grabbed the agreement, flipping through pages quickly, face darkening. "Marital assets fully belong to Vivian? The husband voluntarily waives any claim to property division and assumes all resulting debts? Compensation for emotional damages, $200,000? He snapped his head up, eyes stabbing like knives. "Vivian, are you crazy? You want me to leave with nothing? And pay you $200,000? You're dreaming." He grabbed the agreement, tearing it into pieces, rip, and slammed it to the floor. Paper fluttered everywhere. He stood over me, chest heaving, finally stripping away the mask. "Fine. If you want a divorce, but I get half the assets, half the company shares. The house will be valued at market. Otherwise, don't think this marriage ends. Let's see who outlasts whom." Pointing at my nose, teeth gritted. "Don't think your dad's connections can crush me. I run this company. These networks are mine. You want me with nothing? Let's see who dies first." Before his words finished, his phone on the table rang. The sharp ringtone pierced the tension-filled living room. Evan glared at it, impatient. It was an unknown number. He hung up, but it rang again. Same number. Frowning, he answered. Tone sharp. Hello? Who is this? I didn't hear the other side, but Evan's anger slowly froze. Then it turned to shock. Then, disbelief. Pale as a ghost. What did you say? His voice shot up, trembling. Frozen? Why? Who filed? Vivian? Impossible. How could she have the authority? He looked at me, eyes wide with horror and confusion. I picked up the now cold tea from the coffee table and took a slow sip. Check your email, I said. The court's asset preservation order should be there. Evan fumbled to unlock his phone, opened his mailbox. His fingers swiped faster and faster. His breathing grew shallow and panicked. He saw it. He saw the application Sophie filed in my name, the scanned IOUs he'd signed, the proof that house payments came from my accounts, my unshakable controlling stake in the company, and probably even the screenshots of Lily flaunting his promises to transfer assets. You've known all along. His lips quivered, words breaking. I set down my tea and stood. It's fine if you won't sign the agreement. I looked at his face, collapsing in disbelief. My voice calm, even. See you in court. Oh, and by the way, I added as I walked toward the door, glancing back. I just froze your supplementary credit card, the one under your name. After all, using joint marital assets to support a mistress isn't exactly legal. With that, I opened the door and walked out. I didn't pay attention to the low, wounded roar behind me, or the sound of a phone smashing against the wall. In the following days, I moved back into the small apartment I'd bought before marriage. Sophie acted quickly, filing a full investigation order. Evan's personal and corporate accounts were tightly monitored, and large transfers were frozen. Several transactions he tried to move were intercepted by the bank. He called and texted me obsessively, at first with furious threats, then frantic pleas. I blocked every single attempt, until a call came from an unknown number. I answered, saying nothing. On the other end, Evan's voice was hoarse, barely recognizable. Desperate. Vivian. Vivian. Help me. Lily. Lily's in trouble. I raised an eyebrow and signaled Sophie to start recording. She said she invested a project in her hometown under my name. I transferred some money there. Now it's considered illegal fundraising. Frozen. And the house her parents bought for her is being seized too. Evan rambled. She's crying, begging me to help, but my accounts are frozen. Where am I supposed to get money? Vivian. For old time's sake, just unfreeze a bit, even a little, so I can help her. Old time's sake? I almost laughed. Her house? I asked slowly. The downtown loft you promised her? Evan choked on his words. That house, I continued calmly, was paid for using your marital income. Even if only her name is on the deed, it's considered marital expenditure. Sophie has already filed for asset tracing. Soon, that property will be frozen as well. As for her hometown situation, deal with it yourself. Vivian, you can't be so heartless, he yelled again. Lily really loves me. She's in trouble now. Really loves you? I cut him off. Evan, take a good look at your phone. See if there's anything she accidentally sent, or deliberately kept, stuff beyond your romantic moments. Silence. Only his heavy breathing. I guessed he was recalling something. Maybe Lily had secretly recorded videos, not just romance. But him drunk, complaining about work pressure, cursing clients, or even mentioning questionable company accounting. Maybe she had innocently asked him how to turn company assets into personal assets without me noticing. Maybe her phone even contained flirtatious chats with other men. After a long pause, Evan spoke again, weak, trembling with self-doubt. She was just after the money all along? I said nothing. He would find the answer himself. Vivian, his voice dropped, tinged with a strange mixture of nostalgia and regret. I wasn't like this before. When we were starting the company, cramped in that tiny rental, eating instant noodles, you gave me the only fried egg in your bowl. You said you believed in me, that I'd succeed. Those were good times. He was trying to play the sentimental card. The hardest, truest days we'd shared. I listened quietly. No nostalgia, only emptiness. Evan, I said when he finally stopped. Do you know what disgusts me the most? Not the affair. It's that after cheating, you blamed me, blamed stress, blamed my lack of admiration. It's that you, who built your empire relying on me, constantly felt oppressed, and ran to a fool to give you a sense of superiority. It's that you turned the best part of our past into nothing. A joke. Silence on the other end. Then came a strangled whimper, squeezed from deep in his throat. Not grief. The sound of faith collapsing. The true love he thought he had? A meticulously aimed scam for his wallet. The escape from pressure he imagined? Jumping into a deeper pit. He thought he controlled everything, only to find he was the fool being played. I hung up, blocked the number. The real hammer came down a week later. Sophie slapped a rush copy of a paternity test report on the table. Smirk on her face. Evan sent it. She said, "He's probably losing it." I picked it up. Item: confirm whether Evan Brooks is the biological father of Lin Xiaoyang, Lily's so-called younger brother. 12 years old. Result: supports Evan Brooks as the biological father of Lin Xiaoyang. I stared at the line for several seconds. 12 years old? I looked at Sophie. Sophie scoffed. Lily's documents are fake. She's not 23, she's 29. This brother, she had him as a teenager. Father unknown. She's been using him as a little brother, a final card to extract money from men, a poor little brother needing huge support and treatment. Evan wasn't the first sucker, but he's probably the most generous. I set the report down, walked to the window. Sunlight outside, but a chill ran up my spine. Not for Evan, for how cruel and calculating human nature can be. From the start, Lily was a carefully planned scheme. She approached Evan, seduced him, exploited his need to be admired, his desire to prove himself, step by step siphoning his wealth, planning to ruin him completely, and seize control of all transferred assets. And Evan, supposedly savvy in business, fell headfirst. For so-called true love and manly pride, he betrayed his marriage, plotted to leave his wife with nothing, only to realize he was the one being played. Even the son he thought he was raising? Only a tool Lily had nurtured for over a decade. Double betrayal. Extreme irony. Sophie said that after Evan received the report, he went to where Lily was currently renting, got into a huge fight with her, even resorted to violence, and the neighbors called the police. Lily went into hiding and kept threatening to sue Evan for intentional injury. Evan's company, caught in frozen funds and the CEO scandal, spiraled into chaos. Several major partners paused projects, and the board was putting pressure on him. His parents, upon learning the truth, were so furious they were hospitalized, berating him for being blinded and giving the family fortune to a con artist, dragging the whole family down. Former friends and business partners immediately cut ties, avoiding him entirely. Social death. But only for a moment. Sophie's phone rang. She answered, listened for a few seconds, nodded twice, hung up, and said to me, "Evan wants to see you. At the court mediation room. He says he agrees to all your conditions. He just wants to meet you once." I turned. "Fine," I said. It was time to see him one last time. The court mediation room was plain, simple table and chairs. White walls, coldly procedural. Evan sat across from me. In just over 2 weeks, he looked like he had aged 10 years. Scruffy beard, sunken eyes, wrinkled suit, all the polish of a once respected executive gone. His eyes were cloudy, bloodshot, and full of a hopeless, beaten down despair. He saw me enter, and a faint light flickered in his eyes before dimming again, leaving only a humble plea. Sophie sat beside me. The latest, even stricter divorce agreement spread out before her. The mediator went through the usual formalities. Evan kept his head down, hands clenched so tight his knuckles were white. When the mediator finished, he snapped his head up, looking at me, voice dry and hoarse. "Vivian, I'll sign all the conditions. I agree. The company, the house, the money, all yours. The debts, I'll take them." He swallowed hard, as if using every ounce of strength. I only ask you not to divorce me." The mediator froze. Sophie raised an eyebrow, a playful smirk on her face. I looked at Evan, silent. He seemed to be grasping at the last straw, words rushing out in a panic. I know I was wrong. Ridiculously wrong. I was blind, obsessed. I'm not human. "Vivian, give me one more chance. Just one last time. I'll work like a beast to make it up to you. I'll give you all my assets. Sign the notarized agreement. I'll keep only a tiny salary. No, I'll work for you. I don't need a title. I'll stay by your side. Redeem myself. Look at all the years we've had. Look at my parents, they're old. They can't take the shock. He pulled the family card, mentioning how much my late mother had liked him, recalling the little things we did while decorating our first home. Tears ran down his haggard face, mixed with snot. A complete mess. I love you, Vivian. I really love you. She was just a fling. I never meant to leave you. She tricked me, seduced me. I was just temporarily confused. He tried to pin the blame on Lily again, as if just hours ago's physical fight didn't happen. I listened quietly, expressionless, until he ran out of breath, sobbing and red-eyed, staring at me with nothing but pleading. I finally spoke slowly, asking one question. Evan, you're saying all this because you love me, or because you can't afford to lose? His voice stopped abruptly, mouth open, staring at me like a fish out of water. Love? Where was love when he crossed his own allergy boundary for Lily? Where was love when he plotted to leave me with nothing? Where was love when he publicly shifted the blame for his affair onto me? Now, his money was gone, his company collapsing, his reputation destroyed, duped by a con artist, abandoned by everyone, trapped, and he came back, begging, saying he loved me. Ridiculous. Not love. It was pride. The inability to lose, the terror of falling from the clouds into the mud, the desperate grasping at one last floating branch, me. Evan's face went from pale, to flushed, to ashen. He read my eyes, completely devoid of warmth, his final shred of hope extinguished. His shoulders slumped, curling into the chair, no longer looking at anyone. After a long pause, in a nearly inaudible voice, he said, "Pen." Sophie pushed it toward him. He trembled as he flipped to the last page of the agreement, not even glancing at the strict terms, and scrawled his name in the signature space. When pressing the seal, the red ink seemed to burn him. He shivered. The mediator confirmed the signature and filed the document. The process was complete. I stood, preparing to leave. Evan suddenly lifted his head, looking at my back. Raspy, "Vivian. I'm sorry, I didn't turn." At the door, I paused, pulling a thick manila folder from my bag and placing it on the cabinet. "Almost forgot," I said. "A parting gift. Consider it a keepsake for a clean break." I opened the door and walked out with Sophie. Not once did I look back. Inside, the sounds of Evan's frantic footsteps, the rustle of tearing through the folder, a short inhuman howl, and crashing furniture followed. The mediator rushed in, startled. Sophie and I entered the elevator. The doors closed slowly, cutting off all the chaos inside. "What did you give him?" Sophie asked, curious. I looked at my reflection in the elevator mirror, calm and composed. "The original paternity report," I said, plus some intimate photos of Lily with her other boyfriends, spanning the entire period of her romance with him. Oh, and Lily's bank statements, showing recent transfers overseas, with recipient names suspiciously similar to her so-called needy little brother's biological father. Sophie whistled. "Heartbreaker. That's ruthless." The elevator descended, numbers ticking down. "Finished," Sophie said. I nodded. Later, Sophie told me that day, Evan collapsed in the mediation room and was hospitalized, diagnosed with acute stress disorder. His parents took him home and locked him away, afraid he'd do something foolish again. Those gifts had cut away his last illusions and fragile pride completely. He was not just a fool duped by a con artist. He had been raising another person's child for years, treated as a cash machine, the ultimate sucker. While Evan was in the hospital, Lily tried to make off with the last valuable assets she could grab, but she was intercepted at the airport by investigators who had been watching all along. Sophie's evidence showing Evan's marital assets being fraudulently transferred was enough to open a case. As for Evan's company, without his signatures and management, and tainted by scandal, it was quickly absorbed and dismantled by competitors. The portion of shares he still held, already mortgaged and frozen, eventually amounted to almost nothing. After his release, his mental state never fully recovered. He became erratic, sometimes silent, sometimes irritable. He tried to confront Lily, even harassed her former clients, and was reported to the authorities several times. After that, no one mentioned him anymore. It was as if he had never made a splash in the business world at all. My divorce decree came through quickly. Everything followed the agreement, all assets to me, all debts to him, since he was at fault and had attempted to transfer assets. The ruling was extremely favorable. Sophie handled all the aftermath, liquidating company shares, selling property, consolidating assets. I received a substantial sum of money, entirely my own, a number so large. It allowed me and my family to start a new life without a single worry. A few months later, a local news piece circulated in a small circle. A middle-aged man was sentenced to prison for assault with a weapon in a dispute involving financial and emotional fraud with a former mistress. The report mentioned that he had once run a small tech company, which went bankrupt due to poor decisions, marital collapse, and falling into a con. His mental health had deteriorated. The accompanying photo showed a disheveled man being escorted by police, head lowered, his once handsome features barely recognizable. The comments ranged from pity to derision. Some speculated about his ex-wife, but the chatter was quickly drowned out. In the age of information overload, a failure's downfall barely lasts a few days. Lily, meanwhile, was sentenced for multiple counts, including fraud and document forgery. Her son was taken in by relatives on his biological father's side. Everyone who had once fawned over Evan vanished. His parents sold their old house to cover part of his debts and moved to a small town, seldom contacting old acquaintances. Everything related to him was cut cleanly. It was as if he had never succeeded, never looked polished or admired. Meanwhile, my world no longer bore any trace of him. Colleagues' glances at me shifted, from sympathy and gossip, to respect and caution. No one dared bring up the past. My life, my reputation, guided by Sophie's careful handling of public perception and my own decisive cuts, returned to calmness quickly, even steadier than before. I liquidated all my company shares, selling to the competitor who made the fairest, most serious offer. The CEO came personally to sign the contract, respectful, discussing only business, never private matters. Nice. I listed the marital home for sale. It sold quickly. I didn't take a thing inside, everything went to the buyer at a discounted price. I moved into the pre-marriage apartment I'd purchased, with my dad temporarily. It wasn't large, but clean and bright, with wide views. My father didn't ask much. Every day, he found ways to cook something new for me, worried that I was losing weight. Mom had passed early. He'd raised me alone, silent by nature, but his love was in his actions. Dad, one evening at dinner, as I handed him a rib, "Let's go traveling. It's been too long since we spent time together." He looked up, eyes worried but filled with relief. "Okay. Wherever you want, I'll go with you. Nowhere special." I smiled. "Just wander. Stop wherever we like. Rest when we're tired. Stay longer where we enjoy it." He nodded. "All right. I'll be your bodyguard, tour guide, porter." I felt a sting in my nose, looking down at my plate. A few days later, we set off. No strict itinerary, no detailed plans. We started in a small southern town, staying for 2 weeks, sleeping until we woke naturally, strolling local morning markets, eating unbelievably fresh river seafood, listening to the rain in tea houses in the afternoon, or slowly walking along cobblestone streets. Then we flew northwest to see the vast Gobi Desert, the majestic snow-capped mountains, wrapped in thick blankets under the Highland stars, sipping hot milk tea with my dad. We rarely spoke, but felt complete. We spent some time in a coastal city. I ran along the beach at sunrise, watched the sun climb from the horizon, golden and brilliant. Afternoons, I played chess with Dad or lounged reading on a beach chair, listening to the waves, often falling asleep. My phone stayed on silent almost all the time. Only Sophie and a few trusted friends could reach me. 3 months into the trip, in a riverside guest house in the Jiangnan region, I woke to birdsong and the sound of flowing water. I glanced at my phone. A message from an unknown number, sent at 2 a.m. Only 3 English words, "I'm sorry." No signature, but I knew who it was. Evan. Maybe he was out of prison, or somehow got a phone while still inside? Didn't matter. I stared at those 3 words in the cool morning light, pale, weak, completely unnecessary. Sorry. Sorry for what? Sorry for cheating? For scheming? For hurting me? Or for losing so miserably in the end? No longer needed. My forgiveness, or refusal, would have no impact on his life. Or mine. I swiped left on the message, tapped the red delete. No hesitation. No waves of emotion, like brushing a speck of invisible dust off my sleeve. I didn't reply. No questions. No mockery. No magnanimous "I forgive you." No cold "never forgive." Silence was the ultimate indifference. My emotions. My attention. My life, not a single ounce wasted on him anymore. All his love, hate, regret, and struggle belonged to a distant world. This, perhaps, was the ultimate counterstrike against a terrible past. Not hatred, not revenge. Complete forgetting, complete disregard. Allowing him and his "I'm sorry" to vanish from my world, leaving not a trace. I put down my phone and stood up to draw the curtains. Sunlight poured in, filling the room with warmth. From downstairs came the laughter of Dad and the guesthouse owner, speaking in a clumsy local dialect, and the aroma of freshly made soy milk and fried dough sticks drifted up. A new day. It felt good. After returning from the trip, I found work again, not to go back to a regular job, but as an independent consultant, collaborating with a few companies I admired. I had experience, vision, capital, and a strong network thanks to Sophie. Work became pure and efficient. I only took projects that interested me, only worked with people I respected. The income was generous, the schedule flexible. My social circle quietly shifted as well. Those friends I had because of Evan, superficial connections, faded away. What remained were people I genuinely connected with, people I admired, friends like Sophie, and interesting, capable individuals I met during my travels or through projects. Occasionally, I ran into acquaintances from the past. Their eyes were complicated, hesitant. Some would cautiously ask, "How have you been?" "I heard about your ex-husband." I would smile faintly, naturally take over the conversation, and talk about recent industry trends or some interesting place I'd just visited, subtly shifting the topic. After a few times, no one dared mention Evan in front of me. They gradually realized that the name, the past, had been completely closed in my world. I was no longer the unlucky ex-wife of Evan Brooks. I was no longer an appendix to any man's story or a cautionary footnote. I was Vivian, a successful business consultant, a devoted daughter, a woman who loved travel and reading, an independent individual with a full and rich life. 6 months later, Dad and I decided to live in Europe for a while. The arrangements went smoothly. We rented a house with a garden in a small Swiss town, with snow-capped mountains and a lake visible from the windows. Dad fell in love with tending the garden and even learned to cook local dishes from the neighbors. I took language classes, went for walks by the lake, wrote a bit, or took trains to nearby cities to see exhibitions and attend concerts. The day we left for the airport, the weather was perfect. A clear, endless blue sky, without a single cloud. I had my boarding pass, and Dad and I sat in the VIP lounge. He wore his reading glasses and studied the travel guide like a child preparing for a spring outing. I turned off my data, keeping only the essential communication. The screen was clean, no unread messages, no urgent emails demanding attention. The silence was blissful. The boarding announcement came. Dad and I stood and walked toward the gate, through the jet bridge, into the plane. The flight attendant greeted us with a warm smile, guiding us to our seats in first class. Spacious, comfortable, seatbelt fastened, the plane taxied, accelerated, lifted, and soared into the clouds. After a slight sensation of weightlessness, the plane leveled out. I looked out the window. The city below seemed tiny, roads like fine threads, rivers like glimmering ribbons. Then everything was swallowed by thick clouds. Above the clouds, an endless expanse of deep blue. Sunlight streamed down unobstructed, warm and bright. Dad leaned back comfortably in his seat, eyes closed. I dimmed the window, relaxed. The only sound was the steady hum of the engines. No ties, no grievances to justify, no schemes to execute, no relationships to cautiously maintain. The world stretched wide outside, beneath, and ahead of me. I had health, money, a father who loved me, true friends, the ability to support myself, curiosity and courage to explore the world. And after all the storms, I had clarity and strength, love and dignity, and they came only from me, and the people I truly cared about. The plane climbed higher into the sky. I knew what awaited me, a whole new chapter of life, and I was ready, finally, to live for myself.